Nice little
Not good for the car insurance driving through cricket pitch. And that's one of the problems, I think.
Right.
Can't buy a one. Yeah, I see it.
Not the kind of standard he used to.
It's devastated not only Lee's mother, wife, sisters, and obviously we've mentioned the son. But that has had a devastating effect on them. One that I hope they'll slowly start to rebuild their lives following this verdict. Well, he has a propensity for carrying knives and other weapons, and also on his mobile phone, which we seized during the course of the investigation, we saw his fascination with knives and those knives recorded in imagery. He was a dangerous man, quite clearly with his previous convictions where he also stabbed another man in the neck, and his propensity for carrying knives. He showed that dangerous, aggressive nature, and that he wasn't afraid to use that knife on that train on the 4th of January. Well, his conviction in 2010 was almost like a mirror, apart from it not being on a train, where he did have an argument with another and then stab him in exactly the same place in the neck, causing a minor injury that time to the artery of the neck. And very much like Lee Pomeroy, who received unsurvivable injuries. It was a petty argument, the same ones you may have had or I may have had on a train where something has not seemed quite right, but from such a minor argument, such fatal consequences took place. A decent man, and it's a decent family, and one that you can see with the actions that he was doing. He was taking his son out to a trip to London in relation to a celebration of a birthday, and that's what he was doing. He was being what he always was, which was a loving father. And unfortunately, the events that followed, within 7 minutes, Lee was dead. I think I've described it as that perfect storm. Lee was a good man, but he was also a man who would defend his honour as well as the honour of his children if he felt that someone had slighted him or that of his child. And that's what's happened on that day. He felt that something had been said which wasn't right, and went and challenged Mr. Pencille in relation to what had been said, asking for an apology. That's all he was asking for. Well, that's the level of violence that we do not see on the trains in Britain, and it is a very isolated incident. The level of violence that I've not seen before in my time working with the British Transport Police, and it's really to reiterate that trains are very, very safe, and this is an isolated incident, albeit horrific. Probably the most horrific scene that I've been to in my career with the British Transport Police so far. Just the level of violence you could see that had been used, from the horrific nature with the amount of blood that was in that carriage, and unfortunately Lee there, and just seeing firsthand what a knife can do to someone, and what impact that must have had on his son, who was present along with those eyewitnesses. I think it shows that he is both devious and dangerous, and he set out to kill Lee Pomeroy, and he succeeded, unfortunately, in doing that. He was very calm in his nature and reaction, actually, and again didn't offer any form of remorse, and he still doesn't offer any form of remorse. Well, that is his right in law, but I would also say it was slightly cowardice in that respect. The family wanted to see him, they wanted to hear from him and to try and understand why he'd done what he'd done, but he wouldn't even give them that opportunity. Well, I believe that, as I say, and as the verdict that's been given, it's quite clear that she did not want him to be captured. She had, and still does, have a love for Mr. Pencille, which obviously blurred her mindset in relation to what she was doing. But she wanted him to remain free, and she refused to accept that what he had done was wrong.
Do you have any sympathy for her at all?
No, I don't.